things here besides a basic plan to get the Dragon Balls and rule the world. But like I said, this is the most tame stuff, and this fits in the best. Dragon Ball also has a lot of movies, which I'm sure you're aware of, and a few of them take place during this time, more than you might realize. While most people often reference the next movie I'll cover, the Metal Cooler film is one that takes place during this time. Now, the movies kind of contradict a lot in the main story, and some don't have a specific time frame of when they occur. A lot of fans and even some official figures consider them to take place in alternate timelines, essentially. But for the most part, Toei actually tries to fit everything together. Very poorly, I might add, but you can watch my video about how Toei broke timelines if you want to learn more. Point being, it almost seems like Toei wants to fit everything together, even if they make some weird contradictions. If you want to get really technical about it, the Metal Cooler movie does fit here because Dende is a Guardian in this movie, and Goku is still alive. Dende didn't become Guardian until after Goku left the Time Chamber, and Goku dies at the end of the Cell Saga, so despite some issues like Trunks not being present in this movie for some reason, Gohan having longer hair, and Gohan also not using Super Saiyan, this film should theoretically take place here. So that means between the time Cell announced the Cell games and when they started, Goku went to Namek to get Dende, came back, and then he went back to Namek to fight Cooler. So Goku went to New Namek twice in this time span, and somehow Dende started to rule the planet really quick. It's funny to think.
You're not. Dang, how did it miss? Just aim right at him. Not good at this sniper. That's what this. One shot? Oh my gosh. They are spawned like he spawned literally right on top of me. So stupid. Alright. Come on, I had that. Oh, how is that not a headshot? That was kind of BS though, that from that far away. One shot. One shot. Stand it when people leave the game. Not everybody's leaving. Why is the respawn time? I was low because of that.
Useless. Fight it. Unless. Success. Success. Yes.
Get some ammo. They're about to win. I got 2 kills this whole round.
Moves like this again, and I will kill you myself.
The Locust Horde had many ways to dish out devastating amounts of damage to their foes. From the Locust Generals, the Hollow.
What is the oldest social media of all time? MySpace, right?
Creatures, Locust Infantry, and much more. As part of their arsenal, the Locust Horde had created and modified many barbaric weapons tailored to their ways, dealing punishment to the humans and the Lampen. So as always, I'm your host Abs, and here are the unique and vicious Locust weapons in Gears of War lore. The signature standard issue Locust rifle, used earlier in the Locust War, was the Hammerburst assault rifle, a burst fire weapon that was seen as the Locust counterpart to the Cogs Retro Lancer, exceeding the Retro Lancer and even the Lancer Mark II in terms of accuracy due to the burst fire rate. But the Hammerburst is not ideal in close quarters combat or melee attacks, since the Retro Lancer had a bayonet and the Lancer Mark II had a chainsaw bayonet. However, the Hammerburst always thrives in open or mid-range, but a result of a number of modifications to the Hammerburst led to the Hammerburst Mark II, which included a longer barrel and a larger bore for high-caliber rounds, a new iron sight, and a reworked action for receiving and ejecting cartridges, but more notably, possessing both an automatic and semi-automatic fire mode. Many Locust forces used the Hammerbursts, but more so the lower-ranking Locust, such as the drones. However, even the higher-ranking Locust, like the Theron Guards, Palace Guards, and even the Cantus, were seen with the Hammerbursts occasionally. One of the Locust Horde's deadliest weapons was the Torque-Bow, wielded exclusively by the Theron Guards, who had a mastery of the weapon. Designed for the Locust elites, as it is far more dangerous and utilitarian compared to most weapons. A brutal projectile weapon, it is capable of instantly dispatching a humanoid target. Even a heavily armored Kia is no match for the Torque-Bow's savagery. Its range and accuracy, provided a bullet is fully charged, is phenomenal. And unlike other explosive weapons, the Torque-Bow maintains this accuracy even over extreme ranges. It is also a viciously effective close combat weapon. The large, scythe-like blades on the Torque-Bow's forward limbs enable it to be used in devastating melee attacks.
making the Torque second only to the chainsaw bayonet in melee threat. Exclusively used by the iconic Locust boomers was the Boomshot grenade launcher, which fires a catastrophic, delayed fuse, high explosive shell, creating a large explosion upon impact, followed by the detonation of about 3 to 5 small bomblets that create a series of secondary explosions which are comparable to a cluster bomb. Even though it's not safe to fire at close range, since you can commit suicide, boomers will fire their boom shots at point-blank range. Due to their stupidity, they somehow don't seem to be affected at all by this suicidal mood. But this is probably because of their innate durability, allowing them to shrug off the explosions with ease. The shell is loaded into the boom shot via a drum magazine, so looking closely, boomers can be seen pumping it as it is a shotgun. The gun is also noticeably longer when empty, but the barrel is pushed back again when the drum is inserted, locking it in place, almost looking like a shotgun pump. The boom shot is fundamentally a large, heavy length of steel, so it does a large amount of damage in melee, but the boom shot's iron sights are poor, to say the least. Overall though, the boom shot is designed to dish out heavy damage, being able to kill multiple enemies at once. A weapon used not for war, but for more simpler things in life, such as chopping up rockworm meat to serve and feed the locust after a hard day's work. This weapon was the Butcher Cleaver. The locust butchers would equip this weapon in order to fulfill their duties for the Horde.
How is he not stunned by that?
And consists of a weighty, solid metal razor-sharp blade. Because of the sheer size of a butcher boomer, they can hold it relatively easily in one hand. But if you manage to take down a locust butcher, then, in order to wield it, for the humans, it is a two-handed weapon. Now, in the Lambent War, former locust general Uzo Srak had a special version of the cleaver, a sort of cleaver staff, a monstrous heavy weapon used by the gigantic locust. Srak was a mighty 12 feet tall, and this weapon must have been exclusively crafted for his power and strength. By the looks of it, this staff was at least 5 to 6 feet long at a minimum. A bullet and explosive resistant shield, wielded by the locust maulers, was the boom shield, consisting of a central oval-shaped body with 4 retractable plates. The boom shield protected the user from head-on damage caused by bullets and explosions. The shield itself was highly resistant to damage, even being able to take direct hits from boom shots and bowl of grenades without suffering a loss of usability. It can be used as a mobile cover, but it can also be planted down, where enemy infantry can kick it down. It might just save you from razor hail as well, as we saw the locust maulers using it as sort of an umbrella against the razor hail, which can kill you, so that was pretty cool. Also, the Mauler Elites actually equipped a modified version of the boom shield, so when the Mauler Elite would be shot at, they can aim at the enemy's boom shield and kill them with the enemy's own deflected bullets. The standard issue sidearm, the Locust, was the Boltok pistol, a magnum revolver able to deal wounding damage. The Boltok was used specifically by the Locust drones, in this case, the special class of Locust drones, known as the Bolters, and they had a mastery of the Boltok pistol, and they were able to use them in cover-to-cover aggressive ambushes. But the Boltok pistols were also found in the arsenal of other Locusts, such as the Grenadiers and Theron Guards. An accurate and powerful sidearm, despite initial comp protocols against using and keeping enemy weapons, this handgun started to find favor with many gears in the car. This was due to it dealing much more damage compared to the snow pistol and having exceptional stopping power. Locust weapons and philosophy revolved around power, and the Boltok pistol had plenty of it. The Gorgon submachine gun, also known as the Gorgon pistol, this was another Locust sidearm. This was typically wielded by the Locust elite, most notably the Kansas Priests, but was also used by the Theron Guard. It has a hydraulically loaded spike, so at action, each trigger pull fired one loaded round, recoil from that round was used to fire more rounds on the backswing. The spike continued this back and forth process until it had fired 8 rounds in succession, at which point the hydraulic spike locked and cut off the action until the next pull of the trigger. This entire process happened in a split second. The Gorgon was always reliable for its firepower. A vicious weapon that the Savage Boomers used was a single-shot grenade launcher that made a small creature, which was called a digger, that had explosives attached to it. The digger launcher was ideal, close and long-range combat, and the digger creature is housed in a single-round magazine. The digger would dig underneath and through the ground, hence its name. It would make a loud munching sound as it would approach its target, while kicking up dirt and paving tiles along its path, making its approach very obvious. The digger then pops out of the ground and stays in the air for a split second, where the trajectory was set, and explodes, releasing shrapnel in addition to the explosive blast. The heads of nearby enemies burst open into a flush of blood and brain. The Locust Horde would modify any human weapons they saw fit to repurpose into something even deadlier. One great example of this was the breach shot. When the Locust had captured the UIR's GZ-18 Marksman sniper rifle, they modified it and gave it crude attachments, turning it into a sniper without a scope. The added bayonet on the breach shot would also be used in horrific fashion, by flipping the gun around and executing a foe. The breach shot was carried most notably by the Locust Rangers, but they tossed the weapon aside once enraged. The rifle is fed from an internal 4-round capacity magazine and is operated through straight pull bolt action. Another weapon, used exclusively by the Locust Maulers, is the large and dangerous explosive flail. This has an explosive tipped charge that ignites on impact when swung at sufficient velocity. Maulers and their elite brethren swing their flails overhead when they are on a charge. However, when in defensive positions, they are unable to use their weapons. The tip of the flail resembles an overly enlarged polo grenade. These explosive flails melee combat. These were standard issue for their infantry, and perhaps even more valuable for them, since their standard hambursts were very useful in a melee situation, like a Lancer. Although some locusts, like Cyclops, focus on these Lancer Mark IIs as a sign of prestige of having killed the field, using the household weapon against them. However, the Locust General Mark, a much larger version of the Locust Combat Knife, his own signature serrated knife, a large dagger that Ram looked to use in order to shred and personally execute humans who landed. It is a knife in the hands of Ram, due to actually how huge he was. To the humans, it's practically a sword. Ram is also capable of charging, turning the knife into the bayonet charge of a retro Lancer, but needing much less distance to impale a gear due to Ram's strength and speed despite his large frame. the knife was serrated, every wound was devastating, and if by any chance the victim is not stabbed to death or beheaded, they would eventually bleed to death. Ram's signature execution with the serrated knife would be to lift the gear up with one hand. He would then either behead them or impale them through the body. Either way, a gruesome and unforgiving end. One of the Cog's weapons was the Sword of Shotgun, a double-barreled, very powerful shotgun, packing extreme power that could kill large enemies and multiple foes at once, within point-blank range with one shot. However, it had an equally slow reload time, which would leave you very vulnerable. So in typical Locust fashion, the Sword of Shotguns that found their way into Locust hands were heavily modified as well. This became known as the very rare Elite Sword of Shotgun, and this was equipped by the ferocious Theron Elite. This weapon had two bayonets protruding out of the bottom of the gun, which made the weapon lethal. Even when the Theron Elite was reloading his weapon, he was able to bayonet charge his enemies. The Troika heavy machine gun was a mounted, double-barreled heavy machine gun, which seemed to be a modified version of the minigun, with two rotary ammunition drums and active cooling to allow virtually continuous firing. The Troika had an extremely high fire rate and was used almost exclusively by the Locust Gunners, which were another specialized class of Locust drones, becoming expert users of the Troika machine gun, whether it was in camps, settlements, or anywhere else. Now, General Ram had a heavily modified and custom-made Troika heavy machine gun. This absurdly powerful machine gun could only be wielded by the sheer strength of Ram, and this was his primary range weapon throughout his time post-Emergence Day. In order to reduce the weight of the Troika shield had been removed, as it would obstruct Ram's field of vision, as well as the fact that Ram's Krill shield already made the Troika's shield redundant. It was also modified with boom shot stock for Ram to reliably hold the weapon, as opposed to the stockless Troika turret. It was also equipped with a modified boom shots magazine to carry a large amount of Troika ammunition. The weapon is apparently pump action, given that Ram pumps the two barrels before fighting Delta Squad. The Locust Tremor. This was a boomer variant used to summon Seeders, and they had a specific weapon called the Tremor Hammer. The Tremor would position the Thumper spike into the ground and then use their hammer to hit the Thumper. The seismic reverberations would then be used to call Seeders up from underground to the surface. The Tremor hasn't been seen to use the hammer offensively, but one would of course assume that it would be a deadly melee weapon if used for those purposes. The standard issue grenades used by the Locust, as well as the Cog, were the frag grenades, also known as bolo grenades. The range on these grenades depends on the user, just like with any other grenade, but the frag grenade's blast radius is large, and a combat roll will rarely get you out of harm's way. The frag grenades can do devastating damage to troops, vehicles, and more. But the Locust Grenadiers would often be seen to be equipped with frag grenades as part of their arsenal, since they were very aggressive shock troopers, being able to deal heavy damage to the gears. A very unique type of grenade used by the Locust Horde, more notably the Kansas Priests, was the Ink Grenades. This was actually an Inca Nemesis Inca housed inside an incendiary grenade casing. When triggered, the Ink Grenade releases a black and green poisonous smoke for a short amount of time. The smoke damages enemies and obscures their vision. Prolonged exposure to smoke will down or kill an enemy, and the downed enemy is more susceptible to the poison and will die within a few more seconds of exposure. Kansas and even Scorch will use the Ink Grenades in a variety of ways. For instance, pushing enemies out of places, setting traps, or even simply denying areas. An exclusive grenade, however, used by General Ram and the Theron elites, was the Krill Grenade. It functioned similarly to an ink grenade, but instead of toxic ink, it attacked a swarm of krill to rip apart any humans unfortunate enough to be caught in the ink. Now, it is unknown how this exactly works, but it seems like these grenades are used in daytime when the krill are not seen, so there could be something in the ink that helps the krill detect its prey, such as a peculiar pheromone that attracts only krill to that particular vicinity. Despite similar outward appearances to the ink grenades, it is possible that this species of immature nemesis was special and separate breed. Now, during the Lambent War in the Gears timeline, the Locust Cantus priests equipped a wooden staff. This was a two-handed, close combat weapon, utilized and manufactured by the Temple of the Trinity. Many Cantus held these weapons, but more notably, Cantus bodyguards or guardsmen who would guard the temple and High Priest Peter Grohl from any intruders or criminals. The staffs were used to subdue the perpetrators, or in other cases, kill them with sufficient force. As the Cantus were an average of 7 feet tall and were dangerous locusts, this wouldn't have been a problem for them. It is possible that Scourge's dual chainsaw staff may have originally been a normal Cantus staff before it was heavily modified, but Scourge didn't use the chainsaw staff in the Lambent War, so it is possible that it was created exclusively for him. Chainsaw staff in the Lambent War. What did Scourge use? Well, he was seen to use a modified version of the Hammerburst assault rifle, which was the Gorgon Hammerburst rifle. This was a weapon hybrid of the Gorgon submachine gun, with the stability of the Hammerburst rifle, a unique blend between a light machine gun and an assault rifle. This would be the case. This weapon was the precursor to the Gorgon SMG. It was seen to wield, or it was just simply a modified bad version of the weapon, which is also possible. However, in the Locust War, Scourge had a signature brutal weapon that suits him very well. The dual chainsaw staff, ferocious motorized chainsaws at the end of each staff, supplemented by Scourge's mighty strength, making for an extremely destructive weapon, with Scourge being able to slice a Cog tank in half like it was nothing, and killing the gears that were inside. When Scourge jumped onto Route 314, the only weapons that the gears could use to combat the dual chainsaw staff was their own chainsaw counterpart, in the form of Lancer Mark IIs. Beniso and Dizzy Wallet engaged Scourge in a chainsaw duel, but ultimately failed due to Scourge's sheer power. The only gear who could match Scourge's power in a chainsaw duel, however, was the man, the myth, the legend himself, Marcus Phoenix. Scourge fought Marcus and Dom in the Queen's throne room in September Slaps Nexus during Operation Polar Storm. The Scourge also had other weapons at his disposal, which were the signature Cantus weapons, in the form of the ink grenades and the Gorgon SMG. The Gorgon SMG was best in close quarters combat, where it could zoom to a small degree, and seemed to have burst fire, as well as an automatic fire rate. And Scourge was also able to summon Locust triggers to assist him. Marcus was able to overpower Scourge in the chainsaw duel, and was able to cut his dual chainsaw staff in half. Scourge tried to use the two split chainsaw staffs, but Marcus destroyed both chainsaws, and therefore Scourge had lost the fight, and his signature weapon was destroyed. As a result, Scourge had retreated on his Hydra mount. In the early concept art of Scourge, his character design depicted a huge chainsaw attachment to his arm. This looked really cool, but this idea was replaced by the eventual dual chainsaw staff, which was a great replacement. Ultimately, the dual chainsaw staff was a destructive weapon that suited Scourge's nature very much. Scourge's name means a person that causes suffering, and this was the case with Scourge, as he liked to inflict heavy damage and suffering on the Sairens, whether it was capturing and torturing Gears and Stranded, or by simply causing devastating punishment with his signature dual chainsaw staff. In the Locust's major cities, such as Nexus, the Locust had large defensive towers in order to protect their cities and troops from any threat and to keep a watch for any disturbances. They had an anti-air system that could shoot computer-guided rockets with pinpoint accuracy, which made them very dangerous. After the flooding of the Hollows, resulting in the majority of the Troika mounted machine guns being destroyed, the Savage Locust thought of an inventive idea to replace the Troika, and this was the multi-turret. Now, the Savage Locust lacked the technology to rebuild their previous creations, so they created improvised gun racks to mount and fire multiple weapons simultaneously. Multi-weapon and multi-purpose and stationary turrets, where they could swap in whatever weapons they could salvage, whether it was retro lancers, Nasher shotguns, or the boom shot grenade launcher. The Locust Horde had their own signature ammo breaks to resupply and refill ammunition, whether it be large or smaller crates. These would be spotted around Locust areas, such as the Inner Hollows, Nexus, or the Deadlands. And finally, we'll poetically circle all the way back to Emulsion, with the Emulsion explosive canister. Filled with explosive refined emulsion, Locust Horde would use these canisters as in-placed bombs to destroy large sections of a foundation, structure, or building, causing immense casualties and structural collapse. You can think of these as the Locust's equivalent to a propane tank. And that, my friends, are all of the unique Locust weapons in Gears of War lore. Drop a like if you enjoyed this lore video, subscribe for more similar content like this, and me whole stabs, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.
There. All there. That's what I like to see.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is time for a serious sit-down talk about Call of Duty. Yes, I know we've done this semi-recently in the past, but I feel like it is needed again because there's a lot that I need to say in this video. And so I just want to quickly brief of what we're going to talk about. I got my notes in front of me here. I want to talk about BO7. I want to talk about some decisions and some opinions that I have on this game 2 months later. I want to talk about the future of Call of Duty. I want to talk about some stuff that might happen coming up soon. And then obviously we know Modern Warfare 4 is around the corner. And then I want to talk about the future plans of this channel. And some of you may only get the first two, and that's totally fine. But I at least want to plug those that know, that watch my videos a ton and are part of the live streams of what I think I'm going to be doing with content going forward. So here we are. Let's just get right into it. Black Ops 7. I mean, this is really sad to say, but there is just no better. There's not a good way to put this. Nobody is playing this game. It is, I don't know if it's franchise fatigue, I don't know if it's the double Black Ops games in a row, but it's just, it is what it is. And from a content creator's perspective, when I tell you guys, when I say nobody's playing this game, I also mean that nobody is watching this game. I may be the COD fanboy, the COD chill here, but I was very excited for Black Ops. I thought that Treyarch was going to learn from their mistakes with Halo 6, but we know that was a terrible Call of Duty. And I thought people might be willing to give this game another chance just because there was better maps, and I was hopeful, because I just am always hopeful for another Call of Duty. Later, I posted a decent amount of Black Ops 7 content at the beginning when it came out. And it absolutely flopped. Nobody wants to watch it. Nobody enjoyed it. Really, the only video that did well was me unlocking my first gold candle. And to me, that just shows, like I said, that this franchise has massive fatigue. And I've really noticed it lately. It just seems like everybody is playing Arc Raiders. It doesn't matter who it could be a streamer, it could be your 9-to-5 dad, it could be the athletes. And it really reminds me of, the last couple eras of gaming where Fortnite was like that. You had Dracon and Juju and Ninja, and then Warzone had a similar situation. and we were in this little law area where nobody was really enjoying anything trades. Like, everyone was in their little bubbles, and now Arc Raiders seems to be that game that everybody's playing, everybody's consuming. It's got, 300,000, players on Steam. It's not really losing any, it's keeping players, and that is awesome. I think that's great for them. I don't really enjoy that game. I mean, it's okay, it's fine, it's an extraction shooter. Extraction shooters are not really my thing. I think they're a little bit boring, and listen, that might get me, some of these opinions on this video today might get me absolutely roasted. I'm okay with that. It's just not for me. And so seeing Raiders thrive is great. I'm okay with that, because what I think it's going to do is actually require these developers to try. And I'm not saying that they're not trying. I'm not saying that.
No, they aren't trying. Call of Duty's not trying.
I'm really in this session. I do feel like there's some sort of disconnect that is happening with studios or developers and with players. And the reason that I'm saying that is actually because of a tweet that I saw today, just a couple minutes ago. This is what prompted this video. It's rumored that Black Ops 7 is going to be receiving a couple maps from Black Ops 6. And one of those maps, if you don't follow me on social media, I said if Call of Duty brings back Stakeout, I will uninstall Black Ops 7. And I meant that with every word of my being. Now, somebody has already commented on my tweet, oh, you would uninstall a game for a map because they throw one map in? Yes, I would. And the rumor that we're getting from a really well-known leaker is that Stakeout is coming back in Black Ops 7. And to me, I don't understand. Do these people not understand that that is slowly ruining their game? It is making the game completely brain rot. And Black Ops 6 already got that reputation for being a brain rot COD. And those who play Black Ops 7 know that it actually is a decent game. Like, okay, so let me reframe this for everybody. Black Ops 7 is not the worst game we've ever had. It's got decent maps, it's got decent guns. So far, they've given a bunch of content. So far, we haven't had any crazy collabs. They're just Fallout, but to be honest with you, that's not that bad for what we've been getting. So they're like, okay, they're working. And then we see this. Then I see Stakeout coming back. And to me, I think this is going to lean towards kind of maybe what happened with BO6 again. I think that they're going to, I think they're seeing such a low player base on BO7 that they're going to just start to bring back all these little things, like the camo grinders, like Stakeout, so let's bring that back. And let's go bring in more collabs because we got to make a bunch of money because people aren't buying the game like they used to. This at least so complicated about it. And to me, that's just insane. And to go alongside that, while I'm saying this,
I tried finished YouTube automation for 200 days, and I think it's about time somebody tells you.
Imagine this. A niche that's flashy, trending, and exploding in views. In just 5 months, one channel pulled in over 140,000 subscribers. And to
Free. That was a really good game.
Shit, yeah! Ain't so tough now, are you? Ain't so tough now, are you? Got him.
Apparently doesn't even stun yet. Doesn't even stun yet.
Smoke out! Lock and load! Oh yeah! Sweet!
Oh, it's Blitz, that's right.
Smoke out! Thanks, man.
Not a headshot? It takes so long to switch weapons. How is that not a headshot? That was this good. This good.
You're more than soldiers today. You're warriors.
It should be 100% acceptable for the man to take the woman's child if the woman doesn't want anything to do with it.
Oh, I don't have any good teammates.
She could just give up and sign off her rights and let the man raise his baby. But I don't think that men should be, you know, there's just stuff in their responsibility of the actions that they did with it.
Oh yeah, say for example, just really quick. It's the same exact way. There's a guy who smokes right, for an example, right? And you have your opinion. Your opinion is that every man is bad. So you ought not do this. It's going to outweigh.
It's hard to compare the two things because it is a plant versus a plant.
I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. It's really on this. You're saying that, like, if a man wants to do the devil's lettuce, you should have every right because it's his body. That's not it's still when a person decides to go Mary Jane, you're right, not just the fine. Because those sides of it, they're now doing the same time. I mean, it's super fun. It's fine. When you ask it to get it's not good. That's not what I was saying. Right? I didn't say that the abortion is going to be good or going to let them to live that laid out in the situation. So if that is the case, then I'll just resort to my situation. It doesn't matter what the father says. Like, you can just disagree. That's just a disagreement. There's no.
It does because that baby has 50% of the father's DNA. Rather than I'm a wife. He doesn't take responsibility.
Dang it.
that if the man wants to take responsibility for that child over the mother, that should be allowed. And that a mother should be able to make that choice to unalive their baby, and court should be an option for the man. 100%. Take that woman to court if he wants to take ownership of that child and she does not. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're saying it's going to be the opposite of what I'm saying. Right? You're not. I don't understand what's happening because you're not actually critiquing like you. You're just saying something that's opposite of what I'm saying. It's a social tradition. This is not any type of nothing to tell. You're just saying something that's the opposite.
Okay, but me saying the opposite, it's not going to say the opposite. I'm saying that that's how it should be. And a man and woman lie down together. Hey, you fucking guts, man!
You guys are right when it comes to like, yeah, it is 50%. All days are 50%. And then, but he's also right when he's saying, you guys are right. Not actually.
You're just saying things like my statements. These are just two conflicting statements on both ends. This is like, I don't really see what's happening. Like they're
smoke out.
This is the contradiction being posted. What is the difference though? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so you're talking about like a baby having moral consciousness, right? Is that what you Okay, so what is the difference between a baby that was just conceived and a newborn child? A newborn child can't advocate for himself either, correct? Okay, but if a newborn baby can't survive, though, either without their mother, as opposed to inside the womb.
So you said a baby who is just conceived, meaning that.
Nice!
What is the difference between a baby and a baby that is born? They both can't actually advocate for themselves and their lives. So, when is your limit? Like, what is your limit? A child still can't advocate for itself either. Their mind is still more developed as opposed to a baby that's
Think you can do better next time?
what you're saying.
I sure hope so, soldier.
I'm trying to help you understand what you're saying.
Look, there's a lot of children that can't advocate for themselves, like Trevor Judge, Waltrip, and all of these children, which is why I have my sufficient conditions.
So should those children be able to be alive so they can't advocate for themselves?
I just said, I do not take application into account for all these conditions, which is why I have my sufficient conditions.
Frag out!
Educated. So why can you unalive a baby that's 12 weeks old?
One at a time before died, or two, this is awesome.
3-year-old Down syndrome. You could say that they don't have
That's not what I'm saying at all. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious because
Hold on. I'm gonna be really. So I
they're not getting
The easiest one is I'll just start with intrinsic value, which is granted. You have extrinsic value, which is just value applied to something by other people. Yeah. So that value, right? Extrinsic value that matters most is of the individual that goes through this.
So if the father, you're saying that the father or like the mother of the mother, like after you're saying if those people bring you peace, it doesn't matter. It doesn't like this.
They already have their mindset. In this area. So if other people want you to do something that you don't want, at the end of the day,
Exactly.
Specifically for cases outside
Shit!
So moving on from that, you said there's no harm. What would be the harm?
Yeah, I mean, I just gave an example. Whereas, if you do not want to do something that other people want you to do something, is it your best interest for you to not do this thing? Your value toward the situation is going to be because you're doing the situation. It's not competing, saying that you're saving myself interest in things on the it's like this. Actually, in some situations, not like
Get
this.
your heads in the game or get the hell off my battlefield.
Brother, can you give me the definition of special breeding just really quickly?
Yeah, it's a logical fallacy in which you say, hey, this is how something should be. But yet in another case, so for example, if I were to say, well, we can just kill children, but only if they're in the womb, not if they're outside of the womb, I'm not special pleading to pregnancy. I'm saying that
special pleading is at all.
it literally is.
Like, you have some type of diluted, like, do you want me to give you the definition that most philosophers or even people generally would agree upon?
Sure, go ahead.